So here's the thing. Packers had 30 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play, right?
And only two freaking Super Bowls.
2 Super Bowls. And that's the big thing I keep hearing from all Packer fans. We wasted 30 years of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Wasted them. Gave them no talent around them. Never tried to go for a Super Bowl. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay, I'm not that far into the... I'm not that far...
Explain to me. How have the Packers... Because this is all you hear from everybody.
Sure.
You hear it in national media. You hear it in local media. You hear it from Packer fans.
You're going to stop and let me explain?
Explain.
All right. Packers made the big turnaround when they brought in Ron Wolf. And what did they decide to do at that point in time?
Sign Reggie White.
Besides that, they made the decision that we couldn't have the two positions, general manager and head coach, should be separate.
Right.
Okay, fine. It worked well between Wolf and Holmgren for a period of time,
right? And
then egos got in the way.
Yes,
Ron Wolf wouldn't look at Mike Holmgren and go, hey, hang on for another year, and I'm going to retire, and then you can be both. Because I think Holmgren proved in Seattle that he could do both. Instead, we have the disaster that was the Ray Rhodes year. That was a throwaway year.
Made the playoffs.
We had the disaster that was a Ray Rhodes year. And then we had several years of disaster by taking a guy who was a bad college coach and making him head coach and general manager and letting Brett Favre be the de facto offensive coordinator, which is never a good thing.
I mean,
Sherman never stood up to him, never said, stop it. That didn't happen until
27 interceptions in 2005.
Thank you. Then they decided, okay, Sherman's gone. You bring in Ted Thompson. Never met a free agent signing he would do.
Charles Woodson.
Okay, fine. Won his first year.
But nobody else wanted him.
Yeah, exactly. Got him for cheap. And he's a Hall of Famer, and he's a Packer Hall of Famer, and blah, blah, blah. Then you bring in Mike McCarthy, who puts the hammer down on Favre. Favre gets cold in the Giants game, decides, I don't want to play in Green Bay anymore because it's just freaking too cold here. Plus, we've got Aaron Rodgers behind us. Aaron Rodgers comes in and takes over. McCarthy puts it together for the one season as a wild card team, 9-7, wins the Super Bowl. Carries it on to get to a 15-1 season. They fall off the table at the end of the year. They're out in the first round. At no point did the GM step up and they didn't sign Randy Moss when they had the opportunity to give to Brett Favre, which would have made them a Super Bowl winning team. Instead, it was New England that won that year because they had Randy Moss.
They lost that year.
Okay.
Lost to the Giants. It was 2007.
Fluke of flukes. They would have won with Brett Favre because Brett Favre is a better quarterback than either of those two. Our defense was better than the Giants. We would have won that game. You get to the end of Thompson and the first part of Gutekunst. They do nothing to help Rodgers and surround him with the talent he needs.
I mean, they made 2 big signings on defense with the Smith brothers.
They were okay signings. They played well for a year. They had 1 year.
Went to back-to-back conference championships.
You get a guy like Joe Barry, you don't fire him.
Wow.
And then you've got a guy who wins back-to-back MVPs, and the general manager, being the brilliant guy that he is, lets go of a first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver. Right. The next year, he lets go of a first ballot.
The last couple of years, it's been bad.
First ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. And at the end of this season, he's going to let loose of a first ballot Hall of Fame left tackle. Yeah. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Okay.
I mean, you're not wrong about anything you said. I can't say you're wrong about anything you said. Everything you said is accurate. Everything you said is true. I mean, I can't argue that fact. But to say we wasted, I think what it shows instead is how hard it is to win a Super Bowl in the NFL.
Look, I lived through the 70s and 80s. I love the last 30 years.
Yeah. Let me go through my points here and see what we got.
After what I said, why would you even bother?
1995. Packers finished first in the NFC North, are in the conference championship versus the Dallas Cowboys. The Packers were winning that game in 1995. They were driving in the fourth quarter. They had the lead in the fourth. Cowboys score. Packers have the ball. They're driving down the field. Favre throws an interception and then goes 3 and out on the next play. They score a touchdown after that to take the lead.
I'm going to give you something on this. If Sterling Sharp doesn't suffer a career-ending injury the year before, they win that game against Dallas.
100%. But they had that game. They were doing really well. Favre threw a bad interception late in the fourth quarter, and it got to him. And they never came back. They ended up scoring on that. He got some bad sacks holding on to the ball too long after that. They went 3 and out and never got the ball back.
He was a young quarterback.
First big game. But you had opportunities. You were in the conference championship, and you had opportunities in 95 to go and win. Cowboys end up going, and who did they beat in that? Let me see here. Hold on. Open up.
Who would they have beaten in that Super Bowl? It was the last of their 3, right?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
They destroyed the Pittsburgh Steelers. Packers would have beaten the Steelers. With that defense? Are you kidding me?
Are we going to play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game?
No, but I'm saying, you said, and everybody else says, that the Packers wasted 30 years of quarterback.
They didn't waste 30 years, but they could have won more.
Let you speak. They could have. That's my point. They with that defense, they would have beat the Steelers that year.
Okay,
if not for a bad interception in the fourth quarter and really just choking later on. It was a great Dallas defense, but it wasn't Jimmy Johnson coached. And you had a chance to win that conference championship, which they go on, win their first Super Bowl. They go on in 1996, win a Super Bowl then, which, by the way, also would have changed the Mike Holmgren conversation because Packer fans would have revolted against Ron Wolf at that point. If you go back.
He would have won the battle.
They lose in 97. They were in the Super Bowl. They lost because of one play. When John Elway dove for that, his team rallied around him, and we could not stop Terrell Davis to save our life in the fourth quarter.
Well, and again, that was a year of all the Holmgren turmoil.
2 weeks before the Super Bowl, he announced he's leaving for the Seattle Seahawks to be GM head coach.
And I put that on Ron Wolf.
Took the wind out of the sails. Yep. We lost that Super Bowl. Shouldn't have lost that Super Bowl. Ended up losing the wild card later on. Had the Sherman years, which was real bad.
Real bad.
Go on to 2007. You say Brett Favre got cold, which, listen, he did. But let's not forget, there was a fumble that happened in the fourth quarter with 3 or 4 minutes left in the game. Brady Papinga is there. He tries to scoop and score. It's a tie game at that point. It's 2020. Instead of just falling on the ball. That would have put the Packers in field goal range at that point. If he just falls on the ball, we're in field goal range. We have Mason Crosby. I think it was his rookie year that year. He was on fire. He goes, kicks it. It would have been like a 30-yard field goal. 23-20. Packers win the game. They go on to play the New England Patriots, and who knows what would have happened. They were a really good team. Giants won as a fluke, like you said. But you're there. You're there in that game.
Got it.
Going forward, we win the Super Bowl in 2010. So that's Favre, by the way, losing 2 conference championships in a Super Bowl. 3 legit shots that we did not win.
Well, there were several other legit shots, but Sherman was the coach.
Those don't count. Those are bad teams. Those are real bad teams.
Because we had the wrong person as general
remember
manager.
Ahmad Carroll.
Because we had the wrong guy as general manager.
We do.
Front office.
But outside of those, 95 was a legit shot. You have winning in 96. 97 was a legit shot. We were there.
Keep going.
In 2007, we should have won that conference championship and would have had a real shot against the Steelers.
Go on.
That's 3 of those that we lost. Going on to the Aaron Rodgers years now, won the Super Bowl in 2010. 15-1, that was a bad season. 2014, we're in the conference championship.
You're not going to make me relive this, are you? You're going
5% chance of losing that game, and we lose that game. If we win that game, we are in the Super Bowl and beat the Patriots. There's no doubt about it. We beat the Patriots in that Super Bowl.
Better team.
So that's 1 lost conference championship. Go on to 2016. We're in the conference championship. We are against the Atlanta Falcons and just get smoked.
Mm-hmm.
Get run out of the building. It wasn't even close. Our defense was pretty bad.
It was awful.
That's 2. Moving forward, Mike McCarthy ends up getting fired. We end up missing the playoffs the next 2 years. 2019, we're in the conference championship again. Again, we're in the conference championship. We lose that one as well. That one was that the wrong.
They're
wrong
both
game.
San Francisco.
No, this was
the
San
Rams.
Francisco. This was San Francisco. We lose to San Francisco and Jimmy Garoppolo at home, by the way.
We lost a lot. In the Aaron Rodgers years, we lost a lot of home games in big
In the
games.
playoffs. Yeah, we did.
And against Tampa Bay, 3 turnovers the second
So that's
half.
3 conference. Right. That's 3 conference championships that we lost. Lost that one in 2019. 2020, 3 interceptions and then 3 3-and-outs in the COVID Super Bowl year. That's 4 conference championships.
You know what all
he
that
lost.
says to me? If a dog eats a tree, he'll shit a canoe.
But you have chances. If you want to look at legit chances, we had the lead against the Cowboys in 95, where we really could have won that game.
Never should have lost against Seattle. Never should have
lost
against Denver.
Broncos in that Super Bowl. Never should have lost against the Giants at home.
Never should have had Mike Sherman, which is my point that the front office
agree.
let him down.
That was bad. That was Bob Harlan. You can blame him for that one. It was a bad choice. He was put in a bad situation with Ron Wolf.
I love Bob Harlan.
I do too. He turned the Packers around.
I love him for a lot of other reasons.
But if we combine those 2 quarterbacks and we include Super Bowls and conference championships, that's 7. 6 lost conference championships between 2 quarterbacks and 1 lost Super Bowl. 7 legit shots at Super Bowls.
Hiring Matt LaFleur was a big mistake.
He went to 2 conference championships, but part of that was because of his coaching. Rodgers choked in 2020.
But if you have a better head coach, he doesn't choke.
There's no respect there. There just wasn't.
Exactly. And that's why they should have went out and gotten, I don't know who they could have gotten, but somebody, the best coach available.
Talk to Rodgers about it.
Screw Rodgers at that point. He's coming off of down years. He's going to have to accept anybody.
He didn't come off of down years.
We missed the playoffs 2 years in a row.
Yeah, because we went run, pass. Run, pass.
Again.
Run, pass. In case you missed it, run.
In case of McCarthy, you've got to go from McCarthy to somebody even stronger.
You do.
And that's where they made the mistake. And Sean Payton wasn't available, but a Sean Payton type.
Yeah.
Somebody that's going to come in, and Rodgers is going to have no choice but to respect him.
But I mean, if you go back and look at what Brady had at shots at the Super Bowl, our 2 quarterbacks combined had almost the same amount of shots.
The difference is you had one coach.
We had 9 conference championships, won 3 of them.
Okay, and what's the difference? And I hate saying this. I hate it, but I'm going to. The difference is you had a coach, cheater, but you had a head coach that had a system, and you had a quarterback that bought into that system and believed in the coach and actually ran the system. That never happened in Green Bay.
It did for a couple of years.
For a couple of years with Holmgren, for a couple of years with McCarthy.
Right. But I'm just saying, 9 chances. Because
9 times?
9 times. It's Ferris Bueller's day right now. But if you go back to from 95 to last year, I mean, you had 9 conference championships.
You proved my point.
No, because when you get to the Final Four, it's not about your front office has done the work when you've gotten to the Final Four.
They haven't, though.
When it comes down to the Final Four, it's up to you. And we lost because of a failed fumble recovery with a really good defense in 2007.
A general manager.
A bad interception
Randy
in
Moss
95.
when they could have.
Yes, that was. I'm not saying that they didn't help, but what I am saying is 95 was a bad interception by Favre, and then just too big of a game for him at that time. 98 was the John Elway diving. That is an iconic play at this point. And you had Mike Holmgren leaving earlier on, but still was one play. We were in the lead until that, and that took the wind out of our sails when that play happened. They scored shortly after that, and we couldn't stop Terrell Davis. You have then on to 2007, which is a long stretch between conference championships, but it's a failed fumble. You have 2014, which is, again, bad luck. You have 2020, which the Packers had every chance to do something.
Again,
that's 5 chances where the Packers should have won those games.
I'm not saying that the past 30 years weren't exciting, weren't fun, and were wasted. They weren't. But they could have been better with better front office moves.
I don't think in 2014 you could say that team could have been any better. In 95, if Sterling Sharp doesn't get hurt, listen, we probably win that game, right? I'll give you that one. In 98, that team was there.
But
we still had the
runoff-
defense and the offense that we had the year before.
We wasted 5 years of Brett Favre's prime by not bringing in the right coach, and because of two egos that
I'll give you
clashed
that
with
one.
Ron Wolf
Yeah.
and Mike Holmgren. Okay,
I'll give you that one.
so
But
there's
you can't
5
blame
years.
2016 on that. You can't blame 2014
I
on
can
that.
blame
You can't blame
2007.
2020 on
I
that.
can blame 2007.
2007 was a stacked team.
With Randy Moss being a over-the-top generational talent that
Yes.
would have put that
That
team
would have
over
put
the
that
top.
team over the top.
Ted Thompson failed him,
Yes.
and
In that situation, he did. But even without that, Ted Thompson had built a team where if our linebacker simply falls on a ball rather than trying to score a touchdown,
in
we
the,
win that
in
game.
the Seattle game, if somebody tackles our own tight end,
Right.
he who should not be named,
Yeah.
we win that game.
Jordy Nelson's there catching it, and we go on and beat the Steelers. Out of the 9 times that we were in conference champions, 2 times we got smoked, and it just wasn't going to be a thing. And those were under Rodgers. The other 7 times we either won and then won a Super Bowl, won or lost a Super Bowl, or really should have won those games.
Like I said, they weren't wasted. They were incredible 30 years to be a Packer fan. Your life has been just a miraculous
Jordan
run.
Love, don't ruin it, please.